Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to the final race of week 5 of the Link to the Past Randomizer League. I am James FNX, and I'm joined this week by Reg. Reg, how's it going today?
Well, we are closing out what has proven to be a very exciting mystery week so far. And really looking at this match, don't see anything on the starting screens here, so probably not starting with any items or no Randomizer, no anything like that. But a matchup between zer0rush and Dr. Marty should be a fantastic way to close this week out.
These two teams are near the top of the Lost Woods division. I like Big Boots at 18 points. They're tied for third currently, and the spoilers on the right hand side with Dr. Marty Zero, they're at 15 points. They're tied for 5th. This is a match that's going to have big playoff implications, especially with the paths these two teams have for the last 2 weeks of the season.
Yep. If zer0rush takes this game, I like Big Boots moves up to 21 points and looking pretty good to secure a spot in the top 3. Meanwhile, if Dr. Marty wins this, they move into a tie with I like Big Boots and the Team Triple Dino Disaster for 3rd place. And going to be a bit of chaos trying to get that tie broken over the last 2 weeks, and nobody's going to want to lose a game there.
Absolutely. We're going to get started here shortly. Thanks for joining us today, and can't wait to see what we get in these settings. I've had a lot of really strange and interesting seeds. This one doesn't seem to have too much going for it, at least from the front. No Randomizer. Like you said, no boots, no sword. And we're starting out in Link's house, so an open mode start with some bombs for both runners.
Yeah, we can see it is not a Triforce hunt. We don't have the little number of pieces indicator there. We do have a map shuffle of some form, though. Is that map check showed us absolutely nothing.
Yeah, no Triforce hunt, no retro settings of either type, no rupee bow, no global keys. Tree pole just giving some hearts.
Bit sad to see that tree pole. Hearts is... that or single rupees is probably the most obnoxious one to see.
Our uncle just with 10 arrows in his pocket. So no vanilla swords in this seed.
zer0rush did get a 4th bomb from somewhere. I'm guessing that was a drop from a guard he killed, but I just totally missed it.
Yeah, when he blasted the sign, he got that extra bomb, which don't know if that's going to be a huge deal or not. We find one of our shuffle maps for Ganon's Tower and Sanctuary. That extra bomb shouldn't make too much of a difference. Our runners are likely going to have to buy bombs out of Kakariko anyways, unless they find some other weapons.
Yeah, it's just a little bit potentially smoother, but it's not going to be a big deal.
Probably not. A little bit of divergence here. We're going to see zer0rush take a look at the Lumberjack Ledge, while Dr. Marty's going to head straight for Lost Woods in these 2 checks. Bush Crab not paying off, just green rupees out of him.
Junk on the Bush Crab, junk on the Tier 1 pole. Not fun. That bow is fun, though.
Very fun. Lumberjack Ledge has nothing for zer0rush. That'll be out of his mind for the rest of the seed. Dr. Marty getting that bow. zer0rush will grab that real shortly, though.
Yep. And that's... honestly, with 20 arrows in the first 3 poles of the game, that's a pretty good weapon to use. It'll kill almost anything, and you can take it to Eastern Palace if you think that big keys aren't going to be shuffled, which we have no evidence of.
Yeah, we haven't gotten a look at our pause screens for these runners yet to see if there's any sort of indication in terms of item shuffles other than these maps.
Yeah, and with quick swap being a pretty common thing in this season of the league, probably not going to see that for a little while, if ever.
Yeah, for sure. Runners going to be looking for some money in these drops along with progression items. You want to get out of here with at least 100 rupees so you can pay off that bottle vendor.
Yep. There's 30 underpots in the back. I think there's 10 more underpots in the well. So that pair of red rupees sets up Marty really nicely to be able to afford the bottle vendor. Bombs are still going to be a different story, though.
Yep. We found Quake in Blind's Hut and our map for Pod. So once we get Dark World access, we'll be able to see what that dungeon is.
Yep. Not going to be a bit of a concern for a while, though, because need that Dark World access first, and no signs of it 3.5 minutes in.
Yeah, I've definitely seen seeds where you do have signs of Dark World access. This is not one of them, though.
Well, still a lot of checks here in CAC. This well could have any number of pieces, 4 items still.
There's our swords. We're not swordless. 1 single arrow, the Arrow of Destiny, and a little bit more money. So Dr. Marty's going to be close to being able to buy bombs getting out of here. Did find a 3-pack in one of these chests as well, so that should be enough to get him through a trip over to Ice Rod Cave or Mini Moldorm.
Yeah. Having the bow as a weapon to kill mini Moldorms is actually really reassuring in a low bomb situation like this. As you will notice, after he did pay off the bottle vendor, he can no longer afford bombs. That glove's pretty nice.
Oh, it is pretty nice. Yeah, our bottle vendor only had a heart container. Nice to have this early in the seat, but maybe not something you want to spend 100 rupees on. But that glove is a big find.
Yep. And then last shot in the village proper is another Dark World map.
Still haven't seen any keys or compasses, so it may just be a map shuffle. A lot of checks in Kakariko, not seeing any of those other dungeon items, kind of tends you to believe that it is just a map shuffle.
Yeah, and in that case, it's not terribly inconvenient. Like, yes, you're not playing on full information until you get all the maps, but it's still, you don't have to go hunt down all of those keys to be able to even clear the dungeons. This does make taking that bow directly to Palace of Darkness a lot more interesting and potentially viable of a play as well.
Yeah, or Eastern Palace. You got a sword, you got a bow.
Yeah.
Rooms aren't that huge deal, at least the first ones. The second one can be a little tricky, but both these runners should be able to handle it. And it looks like Dr. Marty is going to turn this glove into 3 items in the back of Escape.
Yeah, save and quit is the best time to do that, because you're going to save and quit out of here as well. So it's just, yeah, unfortunately that bomb going a little bit.
Yeah. At least he had a couple extras in reserve, so it didn't punish him too hard. A shield, little money, and an unrandomized key. So small keys are not shuffled. We have that confirmed.
Yep. Choosing not to take that key to the Dark Cross, which makes sense. You haven't seen the front of the castle. I mean, maps are shuffled, so if it is a map, then it's not necessarily a map of Hyrule Castle or anything, but doing that in the dark, kind of eh. Nice bomb drop, though. Are the guards on just the bomb prize pack?
I believe the blue and green guards are on the bomb pack.
That's really convenient for the early game. You know, we do have
zer0rush for a dark crossplay here.
Yep. Does have to find the key rat even when doing it reverse. Sorry.
Ice Palace is our green pendant. So Ross will give us that information as Doc Marty did take this bow over to Eastern Palace, find some flippers, and a little more ammunition for the bomb bag.
Yeah, not bad finds at all. I think he's hoping to find, obviously progression in Eastern Palace would be quite good, but failing progression, maybe a good chunk of change, so he can take those flippers to the South Shore and then loop that around to Zora, like you might normally see with fake flippers.
Yeah, if he finds like a 300 pack, he could just do a houlihan at the graveyard, and then loop over for Zora check with that money.
Right. And it didn't look like anything of value in the Dark Cross, although I didn't actually see it.
It was just a piece of heart. So, not paying off for zer0rush here is going to take this bow. We're going to get our first look at the South Shore checks.
Yeah. And I like the Eastern Palace play here just because I like Eastern Palace a lot in general. But the South Shore does have a fair few more checks to be had. And we don't know what the goal of this seed is, so even though knowing Green Pendant Ice Palace increases the chances of Eastern being a crystal, this could be a seed where we have to win the game by pulling the Master Sword pedestal instead of killing Ganon.
Yeah, we don't know what our goal is yet, which is I think I like that we find a cape there in Eastern Palace for Dr. Marty. I think I really like the Eastern play. When you don't know what your goal is, beating a dungeon is fairly likely to push you to that goal one way or the other. If it's a crystal goal, it's more likely to be a crystal. If it's a pendant, it may still be a pedestal goal, so it's not a big deal. Eastern's a dungeon you can do fairly quickly, and it's mostly in logic with this bow already. Depending on where the lamp's at or another fire source, it may fully be in logic, but plenty of stuff to get in here. None unrandomized compass in Eastern Palace for Doc Marty.
And if we're looking at unrandomized big keys, then it's going to be vanilla here. Still a shot that something else could be there, though, and we're just looking at randomized big keys and haven't found any yet.
A hammer in the South Shore for zer0rush in the Mini Moldworm Cave.
That's a pretty
and the moon.
Okay, yeah, good finds.
So that's Dark World access. That means that at least from the logic of the seed, as these items are pushed out and randomized to make a path for the players, maybe that Eastern Palace is a little bit later in the logic than the seed expects, but following the logic to the letter is not something our runners tend to do.
Yeah, especially when it comes to dark rooms and lamp logic, that's generally pretty optional. But if there was intended progression in Eastern Palace, we would have already found it, as we do get confirmation that big keys are not shuffled. It is just maps this seed.
Yep.
Which, just for people...
I don't know how you going in. Yeah, we get a bottle over here and an ice rod cave for zer0rush. I don't know how you feel about silver arrows in the big chest for Doc Marty, and how you feel about rolling a mystery seed and getting something that seems pretty tame on the surface so far, with just those maps being randomized. Is that something, if you're doing a mystery seed, are you looking for some of these harder modes, or maybe a breather?
I mean, for me, since I'm not a top-level runner, it depends on my competition. If you're playing against somebody that you think is better than you, then I could see wanting as much chaos as possible just to try to find a way to sneak an edge out of that. But for a matchup like this, as a viewer between these two runners, they're both quite good. So I want to see something where the runners don't get just screwed over one way or the other by an aspect of the mystery or the randomizer itself. And tame seeds tend to lend themselves to that pretty well.
Yeah, just had arrows for Hobo on zer0rush. We do notice on Dr. Marty's side he did see that silver arrows, but only has the wooden arrow still. So that means this is going to be a hard item pool seed.
Yep. And that means a few different things. Like, I think we'll be capping at Blue Mail, Tempered Sword. Silvers will function in the Ganon fight, but nowhere else. And I think there's a couple other things like heart restrictions and whatnot.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if there's a Blue Mail in hard mode. I think it just stays on green. It is a Tempered Sword cap, and I believe it's a 14 heart cap for hard mode.
Yeah, those do sound right. zer0rush in here, using the Moon Pearl to get a water walk into that cave, getting rewarded with a Cane of Samaria for it, but that's actually going to be reachable in logic for Marty holding those flippers.
Yeah, meanwhile, Dr. Marty's going to follow the path of zer0rush here, take a look at South Shore. 50 rupees on Zora Ledge, not enough cash there for anything.
And that's going to be it for zer0rush's Zora's Domain ship here. Looks like he's going to go straight to the Dark World here, saying no to Eastern Palace.
I like this out of zer0rush. Now that you have Dark World access, you can make a rush over to the pyramid, see what your goal is, get a piece of information on dungeons based on the maps you grabbed, and have a better idea what you're supposed to do to finish out the seed.
Yep. And just as a bonus here, you get this nice 5-item check. It's kind of funny we're living in a world where the Hype Cave is a bonus, but sort of what it feels like right now with zer0rush going to be en route to his goal.
Yeah, Hype Cave giving us those mitts. So all of our strength upgrades and Dark World pathing has been found now.
And it looks like he's actually not going to take that over to the pyramid. He's taking the mitts, and he's going to do the reverse loop up towards the Village of Outcasts in Skull Woods, which, honestly, I do quite like. Like, obviously, it puts off the information of the goal, which is kind of important, but when you've got no dungeon clears and you're still this early in the seed, your goal doesn't matter that much. Get the checks and then just loop it in later.
Yeah, I can see that. I think that I still would have checked the pyramid and then just done a save and quit over to Kakariko and came into the Dark World through Kakariko Village. I think this only really pays off if, say, for example, the dig spot is the mirror.
Yeah, mirror would make this a lot... Well, it'd make it a lot smoother and cleaner, but I think there's merits to it, and zer0rush feels the same way if this is what he's going for.
Just a piece harder of the digging spot, and Doc Marty getting those mitts out of Hype Cave.
Yep. So now let's see what direction Marty takes these.
He is going to head up and take a look at... surprisingly not stopping at the bomb shop and seeing what our 5-6 crystals are. Maybe just an oversight there, but he's going to head over to either pod or the pyramid.
Looks like zer0rush is backtracking to the bomb shop. May go to the pyramid from there and just wanted Stumpy and Dig Game to avoid isolating them.
Perhaps. That does make sense if you find it's Pod and Meyer are 5-6 crystals.
That's not a terrible set, especially if that Quake Medallion gets us into Meyer.
Pedestal goal today.
Wow, I didn't realize that sign called you a dingus for that. That's rude.
Absolutely. Ganon also calls you a dingus. Without a bow.
Okay,
yeah,
yes,
we're gonna be on.
Yes.
Also, Doc Marty, I guess, did not finish Eastern Plus. Eastern was a pendant,
and it was
Eastern was finished by Doc Marty. So one dungeon down already. We're gonna need a fire source for Ice Palace, but once he gets that, that's the second pendant.
And then it's just a matter of figuring out what that third one is, or just chain clearing the dungeons until you find it. And it could be as simple as like Thieves Town, like Pendant Thieves Town. Suddenly you really want to see that if you're playing this seed. But no, we do see Crystal Turtle Rock though.
Yeah, a rare time where you're going to be excited to see a Crystal Turtle Rock. Marty's going to give us a peek into Skull Woods.
Front of Skull Woods is always a fine check. And especially with shuffled maps, Skull Woods is a 3-item dungeon.
Yeah, I don't know. Doc Marty gets a little bit lucky there with the key in that first chest. I typically would go grab the big key chest first and come back, especially if I'm going to end up, especially with this cape, you can just loop in a bumper ledge check and then head down to Village Outcast when you're done, all in kind of one easy loop.
Yeah. That may have been the plan if there was no key in the first chest. Oh, he's waiting to get wall mastered because he did come in the front door.
Yep.
Yeah. And pinball room key, not guaranteed in this version of the randomizer, but there anyways today.
There's a 300 rupee drop, one of our 3 items in Skull Woods. Nice little pickup. Doc Marty's going to just isolate that big key chest for now. And head over to check Bumper Ledge.
Cape would make that Eastern play very good. That Eastern play is very good for Marty. It's even, like, the only dungeon that requires the hookshot is Swamp, but it's a very nice item to have regardless.
Yeah, it's going to give him access to a ton of item locations on the mountain, since we don't have the mirror yet. And yeah, if we do find that mirror, that'll put Swamp fully in logic.
Yep. And honestly, like, the hookshot is not the boots, but it's still a pretty quality movement item too. You go pretty quick if you can consistently latch onto things from a distance. I think Marty was gonna show it there, but Murderdactyl getting in the way a little bit.
Yeah, the one downside of using hookshot as a mobility item is if you miss, you're just stuck in place for what feels like forever.
Yep. And that does sort of suck, but it's basically, if I remember correctly, the hookshot moves 2 pixels per frame, coming and going. Link moves either 1 or 1.5 pixels per frame, depending on the frame. So you can get roughly 50% extra movement speed by hooking something, as long as you do hook something.
Right. Yeah, so I won't be surprised if when Doc Marty will just hop into Thieves Town and full clear it. Got the hammer, can get everything in there. 5 items in Thieves Town, and potential it is your 3rd pendant as well.
Yep. Unfortunately,
really hard to say no to that dungeon right now.
Yeah. The only problem is there's, 5 dungeons we don't know, and only one of them is a pendant.
Half Magic's real nice find too. That'll be great, nice palace over what looks like it may be a fairly low equipment seed.
Yeah. We're still missing a fire rod or a bombos to get us in the door there, and I think at this point, at least Marty with that half magic in hand would strongly prefer a fire rod for that dungeon.
Yeah, I would prefer a fire rod general, as that would give him Skull Woods as well. So every time you can full clear a dungeon in a mode like this where you're having to guess at your goals, it's a good thing to have dungeons in pocket ready to complete, as we find a lamp in the first chest of Thieves Town, or the second chest of Thieves Town.
Yeah, just a small key in the first chest, which with the hammer in hand, that is not a scary find at all. Lamp, similarly, Marty has shown a proficiency for dark rooms so far, but could still use it to light torches, which may be important.
Chat pointing asking about the music in this dungeon. When you have map shuffle on, the music for each of the dungeons is randomized, so you can't pick out which dungeons are pendants and which dungeons are crystals by the music playing.
Yeah, which would be a little bit cheap and sort of remove the point of map shuffle if you could do that. But that's how it is. As we do have zer0rush getting through the dark in Eastern Palace here. And Marty...
zer0rush skipped the chest, which we know are silvers that don't actually exist, but it was very interesting that zer0rush decided not to grab that chest.
Yeah, that's interesting decision. I don't generally like ascribing these things to runners, but when you're playing like just map shuffle, where compasses and keys are all locked to their dungeon still, it could be fairly difficult to remember sometimes that, yeah, there's an extra item in every dungeon. I don't want to say that's what happened to zer0rush because I am not in his head and don't know for sure. But that is a consideration if you are playing these seeds on your own.
Yeah, and there's our pendant for Eastern Palace for zer0rush's side. Does make quick work of Armos. So 1 pendant apiece for both the runners. Nothing out of Thieves Town other than this lamp so far for Dr. Marty.
No, but he's still got 3 checks to go. Honestly, the thing that interests me at this point in the seed, does Marty ever go to the Zora area? Because
he's got the money for it now. There's knows that King of Samaria is sitting in a waterfall ledge. We don't know what Zora's got in his big gaping maw.
Yeah, but it's just that Cane of Samaria is potentially a big deal. Like, we know we're going to have to clear Ice Palace. zer0rush could save a good several seconds doing that dungeon over Marty if Marty never gets that cane. And he doesn't actually need the cane to clear the seed. So
we're getting our first look at the front of Escape from zer0rush, choosing this over progressing in the Dark World. A little bit of cash in our first test.
Yeah, I like this from zer0rush. It's 3 very quick items. He's already done the Dark Cross, so he can just save and quit out of the cell. I think the only quicker three or more items in the game for him right now, it would be Thieves Town. But this is definitely a good chance of paying off, especially with it being the early sphere checks.
Yeah, I think zer0rush is hoping to find a mirror in here and make some of the checks around Thieves Town and with the Smith Chain a lot quicker.
Unfortunately for Marty, the lamp is the only thing of value in Thieves Town as it drops a crystal. Well, actually, there is one thing I'm a little concerned about. What if our last pendant is Swamp Palace?
That means we need a mirror, which I think our runners are going to be hoping to anyways, is to give more access to checks.
Yeah, they're going to be hoping to find it, but that's how you get a GT requirement this seed. If, say, mirror for Swamp is in Ganon's Tower.
Yeah, that could definitely be the case.
Yeah. The good news is that Turtle Rock... Sorry, go on.
Doc Marty is going to be our first runner up to Death Mountain in this seed.
Yep. He's got mitts, hammer, hookshot. He can get pretty much everything outside of Turtle Rock, at least, and Tablet Fetch. But ultimately here, like, looking at the dungeons that we know are crystals, Fire Rod Flute cannot be in Ganon's Tower. Cane we already have. Don't need medallions for pendants. So it really does just come down to that mirror as potential reason to go into Ganon's Tower this seed.
Yeah, the only thing that could be, the only other thing that could be a blocking factor, if Desert is a pendant and holds that mirror, the book could be somewhere difficult for us.
Oh, yes.
Or not really, because Swamp would be a crystal at that point. You need the mirror before then. So, yeah, I think it's just the mirror is going to be the only potential difficult item.
Yeah, I mean, there can be a good chunk of difficulty this season. Actually, that's a real nice flute find. There can be difficulty in item hunts without having to go into Ganon's Tower. But it's just going to be the mirror if we're going into the tower. And we don't actually know how many crystals it would take to open up the tower either. So actually, I'm sort of just completely off base here. Except I was logically just thinking the normal 7. But
right, it's at least 3 in non-entrance rando. I'm gonna go for a bomb jump here. Doc Marty, nicely done there. Gets that flute and gets back across, saving himself some time.
Yeah,
we will what our GT entry requirements are at some point here pretty soon. Is I assume Dr. Marty's going to make a full sweep of Death Mountain on both sides.
Yeah, and then probably end with GT because no mirror. But ultimately, like, the logic does take the GT entry requirement into account, so everybody can please ignore everything I said before about items being locked out of GT until we know how many crystals to open it.
I'm already running low on bombs out right now. Not a huge deal. Does have a way to hit a couple different ways to hit the switch in the next room. But unless he finds a bomb, he's going to have to go the long way around for getting back upstairs.
Failed out there.
And there's our fire. Ice Palace. That is pendant number 2. That is Skull Woods in pocket as well.
Yeah. Now, if you're in Marty's shoes here, do you do Skull Woods before Ice Palace?
Maybe. I think I do Hera. I may bail on the Dark Death Mountain checks at this point. And then if Hera's a pendant, then just go finish the seed. If it's not, make a decision from there.
Yeah, I guess it ultimately does depend on what Hera's prize is. Because as soon as we figure out what our third crystal is, whether by map or by drop, and we know whether we're in go mode and what we need for it.
Tower Hera's going to have 3 checks here. A small key in the basement. You can just boomerang that one out. That's a fun little side effect of small keys as visible items.
Cane of Burna. So that's one extra check that Marty can do in the Dark World.
We had cape, so I think it doesn't really do anything extra for us.
Yeah, you're true. I forgot about the cape. And yeah, Cane of Burna not useful at all when you've got the cape and half magic. And Marty,
I prefer cape if I've got boots. I'm going to do some dash strats with safety, but that's not going to be what we're worrying about here today.
No. I was going to say, Marty was not going for the iframe strats there, but did decide to fire up that switch and use them. And he's going to take some intentional damage here so that he can get a death warp out of the last room with the chest.
Yeah, choosing not to use a hair pause strategy, I don't mind it that much here. You're going to want to just clear out Hera anyways. You know you're going to have to get this big key out of the basement.
Oh, Marty had a fairy.
Oh.
And now he's just going to walk it out. But yeah, at this point, like, with maps being shuffled, the only thing that would make this Hera basement play confirmed waste would be a vanilla compass, or not vanilla compass, but a compass in the big chest, excuse me. Anything else, and even if it's junk, I would say that the basement play was worth just for the peace of mind.
Yeah, like if you believe that like you're one item, like you only need a mirror for swamp at this point. You may only need a medallion for Mire. You know Mire's a crystal, but you may only need a mirror for swamp. You may only need a mirror to get into desert. If you're looking for just one item, it's much better to just check locations and get them off the map and not have to worry about coming back to them later, especially something as out of the way as Hera. Swamp map is big.
Yes.
Real good bomb jumping. That big chest is a compass, unfortunately.
That feels bad, but what are you going to do about it at this stage of the race? Everything you said about just not isolating those one-off checks when there's at most one more item you need is completely accurate.
Because right now we have, it's finishing up Hera, 2 other dungeons in pocket for Marty, and a mirror adds another 2 dungeons in pocket.
Now, Moldorm here. Hammer, Tempered Sword damage, 3 hits, no Rage Phase. There we go. Zero Rush grabbing the Smith. No mirror means he's going to have to save and quit to turn it in, but he can take it along with him at least a little ways. At least up to Bumper Cave where he'll get his hook shot.
Yeah. Hair ended up being a crystal, and nothing in that final item dropped for Dr. Marty. So now you have a decision point. Are you going to clear out Death Mountain? Or are you going to go try and look at these other 2 dungeons that you can complete? And Dr. Marty's choosing to leave Death Mountain. We'll see if he has a Skullwoods first or Ice Palace.
Yeah, it's straight to Ice Palace for him. Take the one that you know over the one you don't. Especially because he's got a Skullwoods map, and you can check that as you enter Ice Palace. Or wait, did I say a Skullwoods map? Because I totally meant a Swamp Palace map, sorry.
Yeah. Meanwhile, zer0rush did try and get this hook shot, but unfortunately, our Smith is not a big fan of Bumper Cave.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that, too. Feels bad. That was a Pendant Swamp, wasn't it? I only caught a glimpse of it.
It was.
So we still need a mirror.
So we are a mirror away. And that mirror can be just about anywhere.
Yep. Literally anywhere outside of Swamp Palace itself. And it can't be the Triforce on pedestal either.
Yeah, there are a few other places where it can't be that are mirror locked, but yeah, it's a very unfortunate to have your Gomo item being something that is... This is kind of the ice rod hunt of pedestal.
zer0rush is turning in a Smith, though. This is new info for us. It is not a magic mirror, but it does open up the purple chest check for him, too.
Doc Marty not having this Keen of Samari is going to have to use bomb jump strats to get through.
And yeah, that goes back to what I was saying earlier about the Cane of Samaria potentially coming into play here for zer0rush. Because Marty's still not been to Zora's Domain. But Ice Palace Bomb Jump is classic tech, and even if it is slower than Icebreaker, it gets the job done just as well.
Yeah, a little more finicky, but nicely done by Dr. Marty here. Samaria asking in chat, Samaria's in Waterfall Cave.
Yep. And Marty did Eastern Palace before South Shore, got his Dark World access in the Mini Moldorm Cave, and was sort of off to the races from there, no thanks to Zora.
zer0rush getting bullied a little bit trying to get this hook shot off the bumper ledge.
Yeah, those beetles not playing nice, and Bumper's not the most generous either.
Yeah, Doc Marty doing a turn back, checking that spike chest before going upstairs in case it's the mirror. Doesn't get paid off, though.
No, but it is the right way to do it when you're only looking for one item and you know it's only one item. Because then you don't even need to go upstairs if that's it.
Master Sword, a nice find for Dr. Marty here. Is going to make this Cold Stare fight a little less hectic.
Blue Mail's going to help with that.
Blue Mail. So this one just may have switched to normal arrows. I don't know.
Yeah, let me take a sec to check that, actually. 1 second. Yeah, because there is no blue mail in the hard item pool.
Yeah, so he must have just switched to normal arrows to avoid lag or something in Eastern Palace, which is totally reasonable.
How archaic. He got the quick kill either way, so...
Yeah. Let's see, an iced tea here, and then a bomb jump to go get freezer chest.
And then once he gets the freezer, he'll drop down to the big chest, and then cold stare.
Yeah, all this predicates on actually making this bomb jump. There are some techniques to make it kind of brain proof. Nice jump there. Finds a map of this dungeon. We don't care about that.
Yeah, well, 2 swords.
Or a tempered sword.
So yeah, rest in peace, Fire Rod strats against Cold Stare. I don't think we'll be seeing very much of that today unless Cold Stare gets out of the corner that Marty's going to put him in.
Yeah, still nice to have this half magic in case this fight goes a little bit awry. Not a ton of health for Marty. It should be a pretty safe fight, though.
And there's the corner. Did mix in a couple Fire Rod shots just because that does a significant amount of damage over the sword. But, oh well, no big deal. And small key. So that logically indicates that Samaria is available, as if that matters very much at this point.
Yeah, it's hard to see Dr. Marty heading to one of these 2 Samaria locked dungeons.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he is progression locked as far as pendants go. Without that mirror, it's literally the only thing at this point that would really advance it for him.
Yep, gonna head over to Swamp Palace, or not Swamp Palace, but Skull Woods now, and finish up the middle and the back of Skull Woods. There's, I think, 2 or 3 more items to collect in that dungeon.
I think we found 1 in the front, which would be
1 in the front, so there's 2 left in there.
Yeah. Of course, before that, he's going to go activate this flute.
You may also see him head up to Dark Death Mountain, which is a hookshot cave for 4 checks.
Super bunnies.
I would actually clear out Skull Woods first, get a second crystal. You're going to need at least 3 for Ganon's Tower, but
yeah, the problem here is that you don't want to go into Ganon's Tower at all, if you can avoid it.
Right. If you can avoid it, for sure. Sick Kid check while we're here. Just some lunch money. Have a fancy lunch, Sick Kid.
zer0rush did check that earlier with his bottles, but he's a bit behind on the dungeon routing, but he's got a few overworld checks in there that Marty has not done.
I'm not sure what Marty did there. Did take a look at the ledge item in desert, but now is going to head to the Dark World, and we're going to get our first look at the Mire area. As zer0rush has taken this hookshot and finally gotten a Fire Rod.
Yep. And he'll be across to Heron next. Now this Mire play from Marty, we see a Bombos, means he can't get into the dungeon, which means it is just these 2 items in the shed. Very quick 2 items, but still without a mirror, 2 items he's going to have to save and quit out of.
Actually, I think it's kind of a blessing that it's not Quake here for Mire. That means that Dr. Marty knows that Samaria is somewhere in the world. Isn't going to feel as much pressure to try and find it.
Yeah, and it's a rabbit hole that he does not have the choice to go down. Which, presumably a good thing, but we will see.
Maybe. We could end up having to go to Mire at some point in the seed.
Because we are on the big 1-item hunt. It's not an ice rod today, but it may as well be.
Ice Rod's spiritual successor. Smart use of the cane there by zer0rush to get some distance between him and the switch and pop it open.
zer0rush is going for a Harapot strat. Yeah. So this will save him some time, especially if once he realizes that, yes, he did just leave a compass behind in that chest.
Does not get it on his first attempt, though. We'll have to try again. And Doc Marty is going to head up to the Zora area. It has money, so we're going to get one new check up here. Is our favorite vendor, the big mouth bass himself, Zora, is going to sell us something for 500 rupees.
Yeah, one new check and the cane that I'm sure he wished he had 10 minutes ago. Meanwhile, zer0rush, 2 unsuccessful attempts, is abandoning his Harapot.
Yeah, the Harapot is a lot harder to do without boots. It's a far more precise setup to get where you need to go while you're facing the right direction.
Yeah, and he gets knocked off the peg at like the last possible second to boot.
All right, what you got for us, Zora? Just a lesson in economics.
Don't go giving people money. That's not how you make money yourself. zer0rush abandoning 2 fairies to get his death warp here.
I think this is totally fine. You're knowing it's a pedestal seat, you're not going to have a Ganon's Tower climb. You don't need nearly as much in the way of safeties.
And he had a third.
And he had a third. Oh, no. Oh, my goodness. Dr. Marty is going to head up to Dark Death Mountain. We're going to get to see some more information.
Yep. 7 checks, if you include Spike Cave. And then the Ganon's Tower entry knowledge on top of that. Of course, with only 2 crystals in hand, there's no chance that we can actually open the tower here. But that's hopefully just as well, because we really don't want to go in there if we don't have to.
First up, we're going to take a look at Spiral Cave. This is something that Dr. Marty skipped out after completing Hera.
Oh, yeah. I forgot that he skipped this. I thought he did it first for some reason, but no. Went to Hera first, which is the normal play. Then he would have double backed to do this. Except he had that fire rod and just decided to go straight to Ice Palace and hope he was go mode or at least close enough to it.
And a mushroom hiding for us in the Spiral Cave. That flute will make that mushroom turn in pretty quick. We
get the lovable 2-in-1 fetch quest with the fake powder as well there.
That's yeah, we'll probably see a fake powder here if for some ungodly reason the mirror is there.
Okay, zer0rush has his mole worm down, so now here's the big decision point for him. What is he going to do? Is he going to clear out Ice Palace for nothing but a pair of swords? Or is he going to go on a mirror hunt?
And Doc Marty choosing to take the lower of the 2 Dark World portals here on Death Mountain, giving up the option of being able to enter Turtle Rock if it does end up being Quake.
Yep, which is only a 1-in-3, but might feel quite bad for Marty if it is, and it turns out he can get into that dungeon. Because Ice Rod only blocks the boss.
Oh, it is Quake.
Ooh, that's scary.
zer0rush is following Dr. Marty's footsteps here, heading directly into ice after climbing Tower Hera.
Yeah, because Turtle Rock in a map shuffle, even if you enter without the Ice Rod, is guaranteed 5 items and maybe a 6th. So that's definitely a very scary situation for Marty. Not checking his GT entry or checking Spike Cave either.
Yeah, there's no point in checking GT entry with only 1 crystal right now. I would probably have just headed back up the mountain and headed into Turtle Rock. There's so many items there. And first we're going to turn in this mushroom.
Did save and quit immediately before. Let's see if he resets when it's junk. Yeah,
there is the hard reset. This mushroom can do a fake powder later.
I wouldn't be surprised if fake powder was the very next thing he did.
Yeah. Chameleon has an empty bottle too, so after spending all this magic powder, can just head over to the magic shop, buy a greenie, and get refilled back up.
Yeah. I'm just sitting here, I'm looking at how slowly his magic meter is going down with that cane.
Yeah, it's not
quarter of his bar for that long. Yeah, had slightly more magic than he thought he did. Was a bit surprised that cane block went down. And...
having problems here with this.
Yeah. There we go.
Just a big 20, as expected.
At least the witch was offering 300. What the heck is this?
I would just hard reset again here. Get your magic back.
Probably, but there are enough places to get magic in the game. And actually, Marty's going to go dungeon diving in Palace of Darkness, which generally requires very little magic. So I guess this will be how he gets his refill.
Yeah, we'll be able to full clear Palace of Darkness. With map shuffle, it's going to be 6 items in this dungeon.
Every single one of them reachable, too.
Yep, and I've seen Mirror and Pod enough times to be slightly biased towards this.
I mean, everybody says that Pendant Pod always has the goods when you're playing normal seeds. Does that mean Crystal Pod's always got it in Ped Seeds?
Shall see here shortly as zer0rush is about to head into his Cold Stare fight.
Yeah, that push block not playing terribly nice, but also not very hard to work with.
The best part of having Mirror as your go mode is the second you find it in a dungeon, you're out.
Yeah. Although I feel like with Swamp being the dungeon you're trying to get to, that was a real nice fire rod shot from zer0rush on those two in the corner. Shoutouts to splash damage. But I do feel like if Swamp is your last dungeon, then save and quit maybe faster than Flute or Mirror and Flute before. Because you've got a mirror, leave, mirror, flute, as opposed to just save and quit.
A little late on the Eastern Palace map here, game.
Yeah, that's how the randomizer is. Ganon's Tower map in like the 3rd or 4th check to the game. Eastern Palace map, way too late.
And zer0rush is going to somewhat follow in Dr. Marty's footsteps, but first he's going to turn in this green pendant.
No, this is something... Did Marty do this?
No, Marty did not turn in this green pendant.
So this could be quite interesting.
Sarasa also wants to find lunch.
Yeah, just thanks, game.
We're eating real good, but we're still looking for a mirror.
Yeah. As soon as we find that mirror, we are just hard off to go mode Swamp, but there's who knows how many locations left at this point that it can be.
Far more than either our runners want to deal with at this point. I would honestly not be surprised after this for Doc Marty if he does go and beat Skull Woods, gets that 3rd crystal, so that Ganon's Tower may be an option for him. and then head over towards Turtle Rock.
Yeah, it's just he's got pretty much everything except Misery Mire on the board. I guess you can't get into Desert Palace either, but
yeah, no into Desert, no into Mire, but yeah, there's 2 items left in Skull Woods out of the 4 checks left there, and then 6 items in Turtle Rock, which we guaranteed have access to 5 as we find our Butter Sword.
Yeah, Gold Sword doesn't mean really anything at this stage of this particular seed, but looks cool, I guess.
No, just a little extra lag, basically.
Actually, it is actually a little nice to have in the Helmasaur fight, because it's faster than menuing to silvers to just slash him with the Gold Sword twice.
That is true. Trying to set up a Death Warp here. As zer0rush is going to take this upper portal, and we may see him head into Turtle Rock here pretty soon.
Yep, he will be able to get in, so it's... Oh, Marty. Fairy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's been a running theme of this seed is Death Warps averted.
Yeah, that's actually Marty's second one. And then zer0rush had one too.
Yeah, after dumping 2 fairies out, he's like, I feel real good. I feel great, about to die. And then the 3rd fairy said, no, you're not. I got you.
Yep. Which, it doesn't feel good, let's put it that way.
Canis Mario makes this room super easy for Dr. Marty.
Yep. Marty's still with an aversion to silver arrows. zer0rush actually has not picked up the silvers. He skipped the chests they were in. But
yeah, I think Marty just like accidentally quick swapped away from silvers to regular and has just never bothered to go back, because clearly we're not in a hard item pool. We've got blue mail, we've got a Butter Sword.
zer0rush is not going straight into Turtle Rock. I'm guessing he's checking GT first and then he'll double back.
Yeah, either that or he's going to make a play on Spike Cave. He's got to feel pretty far behind with how late he found that hook shot. 6 crystals enter GT, so if our mirror's in there, it's going to be a strap in. It's going to be a long ride.
Yep. Actually, 6 is kind of just the worst in general. Because at least with 7, you don't have to choose between GT and the last dungeon. But with 6, you're like, okay, do I take all the time to climb now? Or do I go to whatever that last crystal is and do that?
All right, zer0rush is heading into Turtle Rock now. He's got that information. Just a map on Helmasaur. And another crystal for Dr. Marty. So we'll see where he heads after this.
I'm expecting him to go to Turtle Rock chasing density here, which would actually put zer0rush ahead on the route for possibly the first time this seed, even though Marty has the empty pod clear.
I guess, Doc Marty skipped Vanilla Big Key Chest and is picking it up now on his second.
That's a fairly common play, especially just with the way the routing tends to work without mirror.
Boots! That'll open up a couple other locations where this mirror can be a little late in the seed to have a huge amount of impact, unless the mirror is specifically boots locked. It's going to be more of a more of a luxury.
Meanwhile, zer0rush found Bombos. So that's 6 crystals available to zer0rush now. Or no, actually, he doesn't have Ice Rod, so only 5, sorry.
Yeah, Booker and Ice Rod will make it 6.
But regardless, that is an extra dungeon. Only 3 items in Map Shuffle, but still a dungeon. Also the second 5/6 crystal. So that's Pyramid Fairy is an option on the table now as well.
And nothing in these 2 boots lock chests in the light world. I'll get a green pendant turning now from Dr. Marty.
Yep, which we know is junk. zer0rush spinning that crystal switch.
Really nice use of the iframes there to avoid the anti-fairies from the top and the bunny beam from the below.
Yeah, I don't like spinning that crystal switch just because of how slow it is, but for that level of safety, I do have to think it was intentional, which I don't dislike it there per se.
Yeah, 4 hearts and no more fairies after our shenanigans. Definitely want to check everything in here and not die.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, he is enjoying the best enemy in the game. That's really savoring it.
That's the worst way to get dead rocked possible. He had the hook on the rock first, and then the dead rock stopped his hook from pulling him in. And then he got directly dead rocked on top of that.
Can't check Mimic or hit Cave, but it doesn't matter because we know the mirror can't be there.
Small key, which means that the Crystal Roller Room, I believe, is also going to be a small key, or am I miscounting?
Crystal Roller Room...
Oh, no, it's not guaranteed. Because it's
lava test.
Yes. There is a small key between Crystal Roller and Laser Bridge, and I believe the compass was in Lava Chest, so...
Yeah, so we're going to have our key on Laser Bridge.
Key plus 3 items. And if none of those items are the mirror, then the hunt is still on.
Doc Marty is going to go check out his GT requirement, find out the 6 crystals, and forget about it, because God, definitely don't want that to be the case, that are mirrors in GT today.
No.
zer0rush trying to cut a corner there. Busts out the Kena Burner. It's not going to bother with these bootsless laser skips. Finds a mirror shield. Doesn't have to worry about anything now.
Still using the cane to get around that beetle, but not in Turtle Rock.
Not in Turtle Rock unless it's on Trinex, but we can't think about that right now. It's on to our next location.
So is that going to be Pod or Mire or Skull Woods for zer0rush? Skull Woods, it's looking
Looks like it's going to be. So another bit of new information.
zer0rush doesn't know it, but this is quite good for him. Just avoiding the checks that Marty has already fruitlessly made, keeping him from giving that time back. Although it's actually not Skull Woods. Is this purple chest then?
I guess. Yeah, it must be Hammer Peg's purple chest. Or Hammer Peg's one's already been done. Yeah, it must be a purple chest check. The only big disadvantage of leading out here is the longer this goes, the more those boots are going to pay off for Dr. Marty. Because if zer0rush goes and gets them, it means he's clearing out a barren pod to go get them, which is going to be a pretty big time loss.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that zer0rush saves time by not getting the boots this seed. As long as the mirror is not like behind that crystal, say Pyramid Fairy or GT.
I like this. He's gonna grab a purple chest, turn it in, probably head to Meyer after that.
Yep. 3 fully clearable items. Taking a sec, he's fluting to 7 here, which faster than walking. Thanks, game. Actually, Agina's Cave is a new check that we have not seen. I believe.
I think I think Dr. Marty checked out Agina's Cave at one point, but I'm not positive.
If he did, I have no recollection of what's in there. It's just junk regardless. So, where to next for Zero Rush? He's probably going to chase the density to pod if I had to guess, which unfortunately we know will not pay off with anything. But he does have a couple other options open to him.
He's going to go to Meyer. I like this. I like this from Zero Rush's side. Like he's got to feel like he's behind, and he's got to feel like it's very likely that Marty's already gone into pod because it is such a high density location. And having something that was in Turtle Rock unlock this dungeon, maybe you feel like you have a better chance of winning following that logic train as opposed to what is likely following your opponent's footsteps, and if they've found it, then they've already won.
Yeah, from that perspective, Meyer definitely a good play here. It's fewer items. It's actually half as many items, 3 to 6 in Map Shuffle. But, as you said, it's checks that, even though Zero Rush cannot be 100% sure, it is checks that Marty has not made, and that's what he needs right now more than anything.
Exactly, and both these runners may not be paying full attention, but they do have the room open. Will know when their opponent finishes, so maybe using some of that information as well to see, hey, my opponent's not done yet. If I follow this chain of logic, is likely something my opponent hasn't finished.
We're coming up on the first check of Meyer. Marty using that mirror shield, just casually walking through lasers. Okay, small key, first check. Spike room's going to be next.
This may be Skull Woods on Dr. Marty's side.
Yeah, it could be Skull Woods, could be the Smith checks that Zero Rush has already done.
It is going to be a Skull Woods play for Dr. Marty. So we kind of have a flip of the coin here. Which of these two dungeons is going to have our progression, if either?
Yeah, I mean, the way everything's gone so far, we know the answers. Well, we don't know the answers, neither of them, but that's just the way that the game has been flowing so far.
Yeah, at this point, neither our runners are going to want to see a book or an ice rod.
I don't think Zero Rush wanted to see that vanilla big key either, but small key in that northern chest does mean that the big key is 100% vanilla in the cutscene chest. No getting around that. And that is just our 4th bottle in Skull Woods. Only one more item to be had.
Not sure why we had a hint check in that one. There are no hints in the ALTTPR league, but maybe some muscle memory for a ladder mystery player.
Yep, there certainly are other formats of play that can potentially include hints in their mystery settings.
This should be a pretty smooth fight for Doc Marty. Gold sword, plenty of health, easy going for him. And we'll find out if this is our... no, it's just a compass. So Skull Woods is not the answer.
Nope. Item in the middle.
There is more. I don't know if Doc Marty got the big key chest yet.
Yeah.
He skipped it on his first... He only did the very front. And he may have skipped it here and went straight to the back.
Yep.
So
I think he'll get it on his way out.
Yeah, he'll get it here. It's pretty quick with Canis Moria. 10 arrows in big chest in Mire, so that's one of our 3 items in there.
Yeah, and we saw some sort of junk in the lobby chest.
So Vitreous gonna have our last item here. I think if Mirror is not here on Vitreous for zer0rush, I think he's going to head to Pod next, just because Pyramid Fairy is unlocked with that.
Yeah, and his only other real choice is Skull Woods, which is not the most items. Okay. zer0rush, throwing that block in the pit. I believe that was a spooky setup. We'll see if... No, it wasn't. I do know that throwing blocks in pits can lead to spooky, but I'm a bit unclear on the details.
You know, Doc Marty is going to... do the Smith chain. It looks like we know this is gonna be a lot of time spent for not much in the way of reward. I don't know actually if he did guess he did do digging game. Where is he off to then? Oh, never did Stumpy.
I thought he did, but I suppose not.
If he hasn't done Stumpy, he probably hasn't done digging game then. So this may be just checking these 2 checks before grabbing a frog and saving and quitting.
Yep. And that's a Vitreous down on zer0rush's side. Off to whatever check he wants to next.
I can't imagine it'll be anything other than Pod, with 6 items in there, plus Pyramid Fairy being another 2. I don't remember how early the big key was in Pod.
It was in the Dark Maze.
Yeah, no real thoughts about rushing the boss. Then we're going to see a full clear Pod here.
Yep. And just to recap for chat, I'm actually not coming up with any overworld checks that these runners can get to and that we have not seen. Are you coming up with any, James?
I believe we are tapped out. The only thing that I can't remember if either of runners have done Spike Cave. It might be the only thing.
Yeah, chat is saying that we have not seen Spike Cave.
Yeah. And Pyramid Fairy not open yet. It will be open to zer0rush here in a little bit once it gets through Pod. We'll see how long it takes for Doc Marty to head over to Mire and open up a Pyramid Fairy check from that direction. We did see a Catfish check. That wasn't anything. That's the only other really off-the-wall location. Doc Marty did check both the Boots Lock locations, both Bonk Rocks and King's Tomb, didn't find anything.
Marty has not checked the front of the castle here, although zer0rush has, and we know it's nothing.
Yeah, this decision surprises me.
At this point,
from Marty,
it's the most dense location left to him, especially since he hasn't done Dark Cross either.
I think it's by the same logic, though, that we talked about zer0rush choosing Mire over Skullwoods or Pod. It is far more likely that your opponent's done this already.
Yeah.
Like, Pyramid Fairy is the location that is the least likely that your opponent is completed.
At this point, we're just scrambling for one item that could be literally anywhere. In my view, there's no reason to leave easy checks on the board.
Chat is making a good point that Marty may not know that Mire is that second 5/6 crystal. He never did his drop in a bomb shop, where zer0rush did.
Yeah, and I don't think he's checked his map for that information either, simply because he does know Swamp is his pendant. That's the only one he really cares about. James going to get his boots without having to dip back into the dungeon after killing the boss, so that's some tiny consolation.
Yeah, it'll make his trip through the dungeon a little bit faster. It does make the whole loop and everything a little bit more awkward based on where the key layout was. Unable to grab this big key chest in the first loop.
Where's Marty gonna go, having seen everything that they're the mountain?
This will be a spike cave check.
Yeah, there's nothing else here. So yeah, we're looking at here, Pyramid Fairy. One of these two locations has to have some sort of progression. And if that progression is not the mirror.
Unfortunately, there are a lot of things we could find in this location or in Pyramid Fairy that would keep this scene moving. A book, Nice Rod.
Either of those. But it is mirror,
though. So that is go mode for Dr. Marty. An hour, 15 minutes and change. A little under 116. Is going to make his way to Swamp. Both these runners had opportunities to do Spike Cave and loop it in at points in their Death Mountain climbs, but Dr. Marty finding the path first.
Yep. Now the big thing here, all he's got to do is clear Swamp Palace, flute to 3, pull head. That's it. He doesn't need to open any more chests besides the Swamp Palace key or anything else. So I guess cutting 120 on this, probably not reasonable. I do think he'll probably be able to cut 121 though, if nothing goes wrong for him.
Yeah, plenty of health. Definitely not the sort of position where you can play it safe here. Dr. Marty's got to feel pretty behind finding that mirror this late and in a location that was accessible for a long time.
Yeah, he did Eastern Palace super early, had the cape literally at every point that he was on the mountain. Didn't do it after Hera, which sort of makes sense. He wanted to go to Ice Palace with that fire rod in hand and hope that he was basically go mode. Didn't do it when he checked his GT requirement and did the Dark Death Mountain checks either, though, when that would have probably been the best chance. Meanwhile, as chat's pointing out, zer0rush actually a bit lighter on opportunities to check Spike Cave, just because of how he routed Turtle Rock in with the rest of Dark Death Mountain. So even if he wanted Spike Cave, it would have been super awkward for him to get back there.
Yeah, the only opportunity he would have had is when he did the same thing that Dr. Marty did in saving Quit out of Hera after getting that fire rod in that swamp map.
Yep, but again, at that point, you think there's a decent chance you're in go mode, and you would like to confirm it and get on with the game as soon as possible. So I see where that's coming from.
Okay, I definitely can't fault either of our runners for putting that check off as long as they have. Just ends up being one of those whoops I got randoed situations.
Yep, and in this case, it really did just happen to both runners. And it was just a hard one-item hunt across an entire world, which is... Honestly, it feels really bad to lose that way. I'm not sure it feels great to win that way either. There's a Helmosaur kill for zer0rush. We'll see how long it takes him to get back to Spike Cave. He doesn't have much else besides Skull Woods at this point and the Pyramid Ferry.
I would suspect we're going to see a Pyramid Ferry check, as it's once again the one thing you expect your opponents to not have done. There may have been a bit of that logic for zer0rush as well when he chose to follow Meyer instead of anything else after Turtle Rock, is he just expected that Spike Cave was something that was already been done.
Yeah. I don't want to ascribe that sort of motivation to runners, but it is certainly a very logical one to have. Especially like this deep into a Ped Seed where we were one item from go mode 40 minutes ago.
Yeah. Argus down for Dr. Marty. We're just going to take a nice little leisurely walk to a pedestal and get an animation and a victory screen. So we'll get those GGs in chat in just a moment for Dr. Marty.
Yep. And unfortunately, there is, like, this race is all but over. It's one of the things about peg goals. There is no chance for a big comeback reversal at the end with Ganon. So, one screen transition, one dash, one pull.
It should just teleport you into the Ganon fight when you pull pedestal.
That is Dr. Marty taking first place this seed with a time of 1 hour, 20 minutes, and 37 seconds.
GG's to Doc Marty. And zer0rush choosing to be done with this puts in that forfeit. And, we'll see if we can get these runners in for some commentary on this race. From the outset, it looked like it was going to be a pretty friendly seed, and then it turned out to be a bit of an item hunt.
Yeah, and that's just how it goes with Rando sometimes. But we are joined by Marty at GG. Congratulations.
Thanks, everyone. GG's to Zero as well. Ended up being an anticlimactic finish, I guess.
Yeah. I feel like that's just kind of inherent in the peg goal, though.
Yeah, I did feel good when I felt bad first when I did Eastern right away. So it was a pendant, and I thought, maybe there's a chance. So that was nice, but then the longer it dragged out, just looking for that mirror, knowing at any second Zero could have been finished, it was stressful to say the least.
Yeah, that's the sort of thing you get in these pedestal seeds where there isn't a huge buildup of going through Ganon's Tower and having an execution race at the end. As soon as someone finds that last item, it's going to be over very quickly. What happened with the silvers?
What do you mean?
Got the silvers in Eastern Palace and then never used them.
Oh, yeah, I kind of forgot, because I took them off to, like, reduce the lag in that room, and then sort of never had to use them again, so... Oops.
We got a little confused in the commentary because you'd picked up the bow, and then we saw you with wooden arrows, and we thought for a while this might actually be like a hard item pool seed, but that later on you found the blue mail and sort of confirmed that it wasn't.
No, it was like during the Argus fight that I realized I had the arrows, and yet I was messing around with the fire rod, and then realized I had no cause or opportunity to use the arrows up to that point, so it just kind of never came up. Very odd, I know.
Rando does things to people. It's cool.
But I'm assuming like myself and Zero did most of the same things, or mostly did the overworld, and
it was pretty wildly divergent for a while. Mostly he did a couple things out of order compared to you, had a bit heavier of an overworld focus, stuff like early smiths, put off some of the dungeons you did. You were actually in Turtle Rock as he was, like, you entered Turtle Rock, I think, as he was finishing it up, and then he just went clearing up a couple other dungeons. He started with Meyer after that. Then not long before you finished.
Managing to skip Meyer probably saved me here, because I'm assuming Zero had very few checks left.
Like, he was doing his post-pod boots checks, and then I think he was going to go to Pyramid Ferry immediately afterwards, and he was down to Pyramid Ferry, Skullwood, Spike Cave.
Oh, what was 5-6?
Meyer was the other 5-6.
Ah, right. I never checked, actually, so. But yeah, all I had left was the Agina's Cave, the Smith Chest, and Catfish, and then Meyer. Yeah. So
those were all checks we did see on Zero's side. So, like, when you went to Spike Cave, sorry, go on.
Sorry, there was no ice rod or book showed up anywhere?
Nope.
Those items showed up for either of you.
One of them has to be, well, I guess they could be in Swamp since we did find the mirror, but like when you went to Spike Cave, we were down to that or Pyramid Ferry for checks left in the game between the two of you.
Isn't the option here as well? It could be beatable only, so it could actually have been locked. They could be locked in GT or something.
Actually, yes, beatable only is a thing. It
could be. I'd be surprised it was beatable only. We did see the Meyer layout, and it was small key, big key on the Firelock side, which you almost wouldn't see in a beatable only seed. So I would be surprised if this was a beatable only. It's possible.
We will never. Yeah, crazy seed. A lot of stress for no major Ganon fight. So apologies.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, both of you had went up to Hera, not at the same time. I think zer0rush was probably a few minutes behind you. Went up to Hera, and you got Fire Rod in Paradox Cave, and then cleared out Hera. And like, there's a chance at that point when we're both runners, it seemed like you guys were thinking, hey, we've got a couple dungeons we can do. Pretty good chance that I'm in go mode right now, and it just didn't end up being the case. We ended up with a good old 100%er.
Yeah, I believe it was Hera, and was it Thieves Town that was also open that we didn't know. The Skullwoods, sorry. If it was Crystal or Pendant, so yeah, just sort of went for those and hoped it was Pendant, but didn't work out. Yeah. At least we didn't get dragged into GT.
Yeah, that would have been the real worst case scenario here, but I'm just of the opinion that just the long drawn out one item hunts like we had, I'm not a fan. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I agree. For a mystery race, you want something with a bit more like interest. This was, just more annoying than anything.
Yeah, for sure. Big win for your team. Heading 2 weeks left in the season. 80 keys next week. Are you running that, or the other?
No, that'll be Zelga and Shady taking that week. So I get a week off, thankfully, and they'll be taking on, who is it? Never Do Chickens.
Yeah, Never Do Chickens, who are sitting at 5-5 after 5 weeks. A real big victory here. A couple teams are going to have those 1-9 teams as opponents next week. So picking up a win here and keeping pace is real important for you guys.
Yeah, glad to split the week again this week, and I knew it was going to be tough. I like Big Boots. We had them during the last league, and I think they beat us both matches, so it's good that we can get some revenge on them.
Yeah, are we going to see you in co-op week doing 1 or 2 races?
Yeah, I'll be back for the last week running with Shady. So
sounds good. Can't wait for that. This is the end of Mystery Week. As our last race in the Invitational League for this week. So starting tomorrow, we're going to have All Dungeons Key Sanity, another 100% hunt. And some of these mystery races have gone the same way, but going to be a lot of fun action. You get to watch from the sidelines, Marty. Hopefully Zelga and Shady can keep pace for you.
I'm sure they will. They're the stronger two of the team, so I'm more than confident in their abilities.
I mean, from where I'm sitting, your team looks just pretty strong all around. Obviously, seen a ton of good stuff from you as well.
I can compete with them occasionally in Rando, but Zelga beats me cleanly in Rando more often than not, and Shady trounces us both in NMG, so, the numbers speak for themselves.
I guess, especially when you look at NMG in particular, I can see that, but definitely a lot to look forward to the last couple weeks of the league, with your team and the entire division just sort of being chaos for a last playoff spot.
Oh yeah, for sure. It'll be a great last 2 weeks, and yeah, it's a big division, but I'm hopeful. Yeah.
Anything else before we sign off for the last race of Mystery Week? Anything else from you, Dr. Marty?
No, I'm glad to finish out the week for you guys, and thanks for the comms and for the tracking, and GG's again to Zero. It was a tough seed, and it's more luck than anything else there, so just GG's.
Thanks a lot, and I also want to give a big shout out to our tracker today, Yoinker's wife, making sure that we can just focus on talking about the game and not have to pay attention to every last thing put in every dungeon. She does a lot of hard work on several races up and down the schedule, so big thanks to her. Thanks again to you, Doc Marty, and to zer0rush for a very entertaining seed. And Reg, it's been Mystery Week. It's been quite an adventure, as it is every season.
Yep, definitely a big fan of Mystery Week just because it brings so many off-the-wall things to Rando. And kind of sad to see it go, but we'll see it next season of the league, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's something that I can't imagine ever being pulled off the schedule. And that is it for the Invitational League for Mystery Week. We've got a few matches on the schedule for 80 keys. Plenty more going to be coming up as the days progress. We've got a couple on the schedule for tomorrow. One at 1:10 p.m. Eastern. That's going to be Team Hime versus Triple Dino Disaster, Ravis versus Yoshi, and then another one at 8:40 Eastern where Artie Walsh of the Tile Roomies takes on Fear Agent and Team Kappa. But keep your eyes peeled to the schedule. Links to the chat for you, and we'll have a lot more racing to go. 2 big weeks left. Playoff positions at stake across all 4 of the divisions.
Yep, and I think that will pretty much cover it for us, I think. So I've been Reg, my partner's been James, and again, just big shout out zer0rush and Marty putting on the show for us. And be seeing you over some other seed.
Have a good afternoon or evening, everyone.